Hey guys, good morning. Hello. Okay, so today we're gonna do our first technique, and it's one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's called fabric pizza. And the reason, no, I don't use this a lot. You can use different versions of it, but this is the technique I was doing when I sewed through my finger. But no, do not worry. I am not going to demonstrate how to sew through your finger. So I'll give you a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like. This was a sample I did, and the lights are really glaring on it, but the base of it's just, oh there, that's good. The base of it's a dark denim. I cut the little skeleton motif out of a piece of fabric, and it's just a bunch of random thread and yarn and bits and pieces. These are little paper flowers, and you can't see it, but there is even glitter on it. And I've seen people put like photographs on fabric pizza. They've put little, I saw one even that had a penny one time. The problem is depending on what you put on there, you have to be so careful that you don't hit it, or you're gonna go through a ton of needles. So the reason this is shiny is it has plastic over the top of it, and typically you want to use a lightweight to a heavier plastic. But when I went to dig in my stash to find some, all I had was some iron-on vinyl, and obviously I wasn't going to run to Joann's and go get some. So anyway, it looks a little bit different than what it typically would, but I just made this little pouch out of it, put the skeleton fabric on the back, you know me and the little zipper bags, so it's got a zipper lined on the inside. So anyway, this is something you can make out of it, but I'll show you. This is the sample I did yesterday without the fabric, the little motif in the middle, or the flowers or anything. Now, I haven't ironed this plastic, so it looks a little different than what the bag does, because honestly, I went to iron the back of the bag so it would lay flat, and totally wasn't thinking, and because it was iron-on vinyl, it sucked down almost like it was being shrink wrapped. So anyway, it's a fun little technique, but the only way you can really do it is you have to have a specialty foot. And this is actually a number 9 darning foot for Bernina, but I call it the hopper foot because, whoop, let me get my finger in the right place, it bounces, okay? So I'm gonna trade my feet, and you may notice throughout that I don't use my presser foot lifter, because the front of my machine actually has a lever, woo! So I can raise and lower my presser foot without having to use the lift in the back. Okay, so let's get started on our pizza. And this is a heavyweight chambray, so it's not as heavy as denim. And honestly, you just take random threads, yarns you have. This is something called eyelash, because if you look at it, it's got little pieces that hang off like eyelashes. So I'm not going to get real specific on anything. Like I said, just use what you have in your stash. That's just a piece of yarn. I don't know, you guys can see my little baggies. This is what I'm digging through. I'm trying to decide, oh yeah, this little cord's got a little bit of metallic to it. Never say no to metallic. You know, you can pick a color scheme. I've got some more eyelash in some different colors. I honestly have no idea isn't this a lovely mess? Instead of eyelash, it should be called bird's nest. Here's a little bit of purple. Gotta toss a little purple in there. Can't really, what? I don't know. It was just in my thing. So the other way you can add some sparkle to this is metallic threads. Now I have to tell you, when I worked for Bernina, we did different workshops and trainings, and this company, Madeira, always gave us thread. And since I worked for them as a sales manager, I always got the samples of everything, so I would know how they worked. And sometimes when trainings were over, if people didn't take stuff. So I've ended up with all this plethora. Now I'm just gonna kind of spread this out. Looks like Sadie. Hi Sadie, come here Sadie. Can you turn up? Nope, not gonna get her. Come here, kiss. Look up. No, she's just in here being nosy. So the other thing I'm gonna do is I am going to, just because, so Caitlin, this one's for you. Gonna add maybe little glitter throughout. One thing I will tell you, your base fabric, you want it to be something that is sturdy enough, because as you stitch through this, you're gonna have a lot of stitch build up. Now, this is the plastic I was telling you about. It's an iron-on vinyl. It's got this paper backing. So I've got to get that off. And once you get, because this is stick-on, and I was a little worried that my needle would stick to it, but it didn't. The one thing I will say I like about it is it helps stick it down, and you don't have to try to pin it, because pinning through vinyl can sometimes be tough. All right, so here we go. Now I will tell you, and normally I don't advise doing this, if you have a piece of gum, chew it. When we did this training, we found out if we gave everybody a stick of gum, they chewed it and they got kind of a rhythm going with their hands, and they didn't like get all up in their head and think that this was too difficult. I'm just gonna use a regular straight stitch. I'm gonna kind of start here off to the edge, and it's just very random. And I will tell you that in a thing like this, it almost is easier to go a medium speed. Now look, I'm ambidextrous. I can do circles forwards and backwards. You don't have to do circles. You can just kind of meander. Now the reason this works so easy is because of that foot I'm using. Now you can also disengage your feed dogs, and that'll help it move more freely, but honestly it gets a little willy-nilly. So I keep my feed dogs up. Now notice how I stopped when I was talking to you about that. That is how I sewed through my finger. I was sitting doing this technique, and someone walked up and asked me what I was doing. Instead of stopping my machine and answering them, I kept going, and I looked up and I took my eyes off my needle and I stitched through the end of my finger. No fun. So I shall not do that today. So, like I said, you could, if you had a Teflon foot, oh, I thought I had one out, but I think I put it away. A Teflon foot will move smooth on the plastic, or a roller foot. It literally has rollers on the bottom, and you can do that. And then you could just do straight stitch if you wanted to. But half the fun of this is just that it is so random, and your stitching just becomes part of your fabric. Now, and you want to kind of pull it out the back, because the tension on it is different. So there's my sample. here's the back side. So you can see I literally was just going all over the place with this, okay? So now the other thing is, where in a garment would you use this with a plastic on it? You know, it could be cute in kids wear. You could do this and maybe cut shapes out and applique those on. If you want to do a whole coat in it, I don't know. But I have seen a technique where they just put little random pieces of fabric down and stitch those down without using the plastic. So I'm gonna try it next, but so I make sure that this video loads, I'm going to stop this one and I will put on another one. So everybody say hi, Bessie. Say bye, Bessie.